In a recap from our last video, we got to know the 1994 Blue Devils drumline, which began the legacy of Blue Devils percussion ensembles led by Scott Johnson and Dave Glide. This percussion section, which also had Blue Devils alumnus Kevin Murray as snare tech and center snare Roger Carter, stamped the world with their in-your-face Blue Devils identity defined by fast speeds, meaty parts, chops, and a charisma that can only be described as badass. Undeniably, the 94 Devs drumline's major impact on the activity itself wasn't only because of their new image and attractive output, but also because they won the 1994 drum title. The next drumline in this video essay series also had a major impact on the activity, and they won the drum title too. Here is the 11th drumline in our series of most legendary drumlines in junior drum corps history. The 1971 Blue Rock drumline was the first to not only utilize an 8-person snare line in a time where the average snare line size was 3 to 5 drummers, but to also win the High Drum Trophy in doing so. Returning members included snare drummers Wayne Campbell, Jeff Dennis, Ronnie Griffin, Billy Mintman Weisenbach, section leader Louis Davis, as well as tenor drummer Danny Tiska and triple tenor drummer Tom "Ta" Quackenbush, among others. First-year members in the snare line were from other smaller corps, like Walt Parks from the Seahorse Lancers, Chris Rock from the Willingboro Black Watch, and Mike Russo from the Shadettes. The 1970 line, the year prior, executed a unison snare solo of 10 drummers, all 5 snare drummers and all 5 tenors on snares as well. They got 5th place at VFW Nationals. Cleaning the 1970 drum break gave drum director Joe Morella the vision of expanding the snare line size to 8 for the 1971 season. He was told by many that it would not work. Morella described his approach by having his snare drummers play inside each other's sound, where the snare drummer focused on the surrounding snare drummer's sound first and foremost. Despite naysayers to Morella, the idea paid off. The 1971 Blue Rock drumline received first in drums at 31 out of 33 shows. Morella's multi-snare line experiment was a success. Fun fact, like the 1994 Blue Devils front ensemble, the 71 Blue Rock drumline was a family affair, but for 2 sets of brothers. The Watson brothers, Art on tenors and Kevin on timps, and the Leadard brothers, Bob on tenors and Tom on timps. Prior to 71, the Scott twins, Bob and George, played in the cymbal line, but for 71, George joined the Air Force while Bob remained in the line, one of 4 known Scott brothers who had marched in the Corps. The 1971 Blue Rock snare line was known for practicing on plastic horn cases before shows. According to Morella, playing on those cases was our trademark. It helped us prepare to compete. People would tell me how disciplined the line was because they got off the bus, lined up the cases, and started their practice routine. By the way, we won drums all the time using this method. At the 1971 VFW Nationals prelims, however, they were placed behind Jerry Shelmer's Boston Crusaders drumline, .05 points separating the two lines. After prelims performances were over, Joe Morella found Boston staff member and West Point Hellcat alumnus Bob Devlin to ask if he knew who placed first in drums that night. Devlin responded with, "We did, of course." Motivated by Devlin's brag, Morella decided to restore a drum break titled the MF hours before finals night. According to Morella, because it was prelims, Blue Rock performed a shorter show which omitted their main percussion solo that showed off the timing of those 8 snares. Morella restored the MF to the show also because the Blue Rock Drumlines loss to Shelmer's Boston Crusaders at prelims was due to criteria for the demand exposure caption of the score sheet. Morella stated that, "My goal was to maximize that caption, as the VFW criteria was written differently than all the criteria we competed with up to the VFW Nationals." On finals night, Blue Rock's drumline took high drums with an 18.8. According to Morella, they executed the MF perfectly. Another fun fact, the order of the snares in the 1971 Blue Rock snare line was determined by tallest people in the center and moving out from there by height. Section leader Louis Davis was one of the end snares. Though Blue Rock did not compete in the 1972 inaugural DCI competition, despite being a founding member, an interesting occurrence happened that very first DCI finals night. The high drum trophy went to a drum line that had an 8-person snare line, the Kingsman. The Kingsman snare line also changed their method of order for 1972, putting their tallest drummers in the middle, Tom Float and Ralph Hardiman. Tenor drummer Art Watson went on to become a New Jersey state trooper and retired after a little over 25 years in service. Timp player Joe Gudzilak went on to work for Chrysler and retired after many dedicated years. He passed away in 2019. Longtime Blue Rock veteran Tom Quackenbush, who spent most of his career in the banking industry, also coached youth soccer in Audubon, New Jersey, and served as a Democratic county chair for his community. Quackenbush passed away suddenly in 2018. Temp player Bill Paulson, who passed away in the fall of 2024, was a consultant manager in the graphic design business. Snare drummer Bill Mintman Weisenbach married his fellow corps member Barbara and later went on to become a respiratory therapist and eventually retired after 25 years in service. The Mintman passed away in 2020. Snare drummer Walter Parks went on as a band director for Metamora Township High School in Metamora, Illinois. He remained there until his retirement in 2015, having taught there for just under 24 years. Drumline section leader Lou Davis, who passed away in 2019, had spent many years as the percussion instructor for McKeon High School in Wilmington, Delaware, where he was a recipient of the Music Educators Award for Excellence. Joe Morella left Blue Rock after the 1972 season and continued teaching drumlines for the Troopers, Audubon Bonbons, and Reading Buccaneers before taking over the 27th Lancers percussion program for the 1975 and 1976 seasons. In the period of 1974 to 1980, Morella trained the Muchachos, North Star, and Bridgman drumlines, respectively, in execution performance. According to Morella, when Dennis DeLucia of the Bridgman and Muchachos and Dave Vos of North Star entrust you with their section's execution performance, to me, there was no higher compliment than from those two esteemed Hall of Famers. Morella also taught the West Shoreman Senior Corps, consulted for the Bluecoats drumline, and went on from drum corps to directing musical theater, using the concepts of drum corps guru Ralph Pace in his efforts that later earned him nominations for Best Director in 2005 and 2006 from the New Jersey Association of Community Theaters. Joe Morella was inducted into the World Drum Corps Hall of Fame in 1989 and the DCI Hall of Fame in 1995. Things may have been quite different had the 1971 Blue Rock Drumline not won the high drum title. The legacy of multi-snare lines that Joe Morella and the 1971 Blue Rock Drumline started, and won with, became the norm in the activity. Ever since their victory in 1971, every high percussion winning drumline at DCI finals used snare lines of at least 7 members or more. 1976 saw the Blue Devils' 10-person snare line win. The rest is history.